Hi, welcome to my tutorial on sixth intervals. So this is kind of a continuation of what I did in my last video where I was talking about taking sixth intervals from the key of F and use the sixth to create chords, like for example on this first one, F chord. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to combine sixth intervals on pairs of strings, of the top four strings, middle four, and then if I get to the last four, I'll do some of those. And then I'm going to start off in the key of F, and then I thought what I would do for today is maybe explore a little bit more in different keys depending on what chord I'm on. I'll take advantage of some of the open strings, E chord, A chord, maybe I'll even go into drop D, just to check that out. So start off with the key of F. So the very first chord that would be available would be C, E, and then G, B flat. So that becomes first inversion. So pretty much most of the chords I'll be doing today will be first inversion chords, meaning the third is on the bottom. That's a nice sounding chord, C7 chord, gives you a little different sound. So the principle here is I'm taking these sixth intervals, C, E, and G, B flat, combining them together to create these seventh chords. Okay, next one, D, F, and then A, C is a D minor 7 chord. Okay, so I'll digress a little bit here because what's going to happen with these minor 7th chords, depending on what you think of as the bass, this can be thought of as a D minor 7th chord. Or you can think of it as an F6 chord. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, multiple ways of using the same chord. Okay, now moving to the next chord. This is the chord built on the 7th degree of the scale. That's minor 7 flat 5. So you got E, G, and then B flat D. Put that together. That's an E minor 7 flat 5 chord. So a really common usage of that is as a substitute for a C7 chord or a C9 chord. So it just so happens that here, if I add this C bass, kind of nice sounding C7 chord, you know. And that maybe wants to resolve to some kind of F chord, or maybe F major 7. I'll get that chord back up again. Maybe to F major 7 chord. Kind of nice there. Okay, continuing up the fretboard. So this is kind of one of my favorite chords. I use this a lot. If you've ever watched my tutorial on crystal silence, I use this chord a lot. F, A, and then C, E is a nice major 7th chord, F major 7th, because we're still in the key of F. And this one, maybe I'll just kind of go on a little tangent. Maybe I'll just kind of move this one around a little bit. So in crystal silence, I play this chord down here, C, E, G, B. So that's a C major 7th chord. If you add the A bass, that becomes an A minor 9 chord. So that's a kind of a cool sound. Okay, so moving right up. So now we're back to the 2 chord G minor 7, G, B flat, and a D, F. Put those together. Comes a G minor 7th. If you're thinking of G as the root, or if you're thinking as B flat as the root, it would work as a B flat 6 chord. Okay, now the 3 chord A, C, and then E, G is A minor 7th chord. Have a nice convenient open bass there, or root 5th. Right, so as you learn these different chords, like if you're on a song that has an A minor chord for a measure or two, you can do different variations of the A minor 7th chord. Here's open position. there, open. Okay, moving right along. Now this is the 4 chord, B flat D, 6th interval, and then FA. Put those 2 6th intervals together, and you have B flat major 7th chord. Maybe do hybrid, or if you did like finger picking, kind of a nice sound. F chord, I'll do the same thing here. Kind of an interesting sound. Or if you're good with harmonics, like you can take these chords and do harmonics. So if I'm here, let's see, A, F. Or you can do like the Lenny Bro thing, sounds cool here, where you're harmonic on 4, regular note on 2, and then harmonic on 3, regular note on 1. I don't want to get too far afield there. Okay, so that's the B flat major 7 chord, and then last but not least, okay, so just do maybe 2 or 3 more here. So now I'm at C, back to that original C chord, C E, G B flat, and that's your C7 chord, kind of a nice sounding C7 chord. Let me do one more chord, and then maybe I'll talk a little theoretically about maybe some ways you can view these 6 intervals. Okay, and then I'll just do this D, F, then A, C, D minor 7 chord. So one of the ways you can use this is, like, let's say, okay, I'm on my C7th chord and I have this G B flat, it's kind of a G minor look. That, to my mind, that means, well, if I'm playing a C7th chord or C9 chord, I can use G minor material over that. So a common thing would be G minor pentatonic. So I'm on my C dominant 7th. So C7, and then I'm using G minor material over that. Kind of a nice sound. All right, so that's starting on the on that string. I want to introduce a concept that you might find helpful, especially when we go to the middle 4 strings, is to see how you can take standard chord voicings and come up with these first inversion chords. So I'm just going to randomly go in between these. So let's say I had an F major 7th chord, F, C, E, A. So if I take this E, drop it down to D, I have that first inversion D minor 7th chord, or I have an F6 chord. Okay, so let's say okay. So here's a good one right here. So I'm on this F chord. If I go to A, E, G, C, A minor 7th chord, drop the G down to F, that gives me my F major 7 chords. That's kind of a cool sound too. I'm just dropping in the low A bass. Okay, so so this is kind of more unscripted. These are just some things I've been exploring over the past couple days, and I thought, well, let me do a video of this, kind of with live without a net, and just kind of see what I come up with. I'm going to move to the inner 4 strings now. If you look at this chord, so you have G B flat, and then F, D F. Right. That might sound familiar to some of you guitar players who know Led Zeppelin. That's the chord that Page plays at the end of the verse of Over the Hills and Far Away. Da-ya-da-da. Yeah, so the only difference there, he has that kind of G minor, or I guess it's like a B flat 6 chord, and it just moves it up. So if we were to take my strategy and move that chord up to make that a diatonic 7th chord, A, C. Yeah, so Page, I mean, he could have done that. He could have decided to go. Yeah, but maybe having that G in there kind of makes it maybe a little bit more interesting and a little bit more open, especially on the acoustic guitar. All right, okay, I did A, C, E, G, A minor 7th. Okay, now going up here. So now this is where the stretches get a little bit trickier up here. So just go easy on your hand here, and I'll show you some strategies of how to, because I remember when I was first learning about these chords from Ed McGuire's Fingerboard Harmony book, I thought, well, this is a kind of tricky chord to do. So if you start off with, okay, so you know B flat, if you start off with D minor 7th chord, D, A, C, F, then you refinger it with what's called discrete fingering, D, A. Because your D minor 7th chord, move your C down to B flat, and then there's your first inversion chord. So that's just another way of thinking about these. That's kind of a cool sounding chord. Maybe I'll throw some harmonics in here. Okay, and then I would say another good technique on guitar is to always be thinking about open strings that you can add. So right here we have a B flat major 7th chord. That high E string is the Lydian sound. That's kind of a neat sound. And maybe a nice ending chord with that E to sharp 11. Okay, so moving right up here, C. So C, E, and then G, B flat. There's that C7 chord from earlier. So another thing I like to emphasize in these videos, and I think is a good thing, is to learn equivalencies. C, E, G, B flat is exactly the same as this chord. C, E, G, B flat. Now, if you find that chord hard to grab, if you go to this chord here, E minor 7 flat 5, take your D, move it down to C. So they're kind of substitutes for each other. So C7 and C9. Right. So C now D. Okay. So here's your. This is the same as the A minor 7 chord. DF. There's your 6th, and then C, A, C. So you might notice I'm sitting in classical position today. I just thought that, especially for some of these bigger stretched out chords, I thought it was better to get my fingerboard up a little bit higher. Certainly, depending on your hand size, and if you're maybe playing a shorter scale guitar, you might find this interesting. So I'm just going to compare this to the standard F major 7th chord. So this was when I was first learning these chords. This was kind of how I did it. I thought, well, this is kind of a tricky chord to grab, so I used the major 7th chord to get to it. So if I'm on F major 7th, F, C, E, A, and then I can get to this first inversion D minor 7th chord or F6, and that's kind of New York, or there's like a lot of the kind of the bossa nova stuff. It has that kind of sound also. Okay, moving along. So next, let's see. So the D, C, D. Oh yeah. Okay, then E minor 7 flat 5. Kind of an interesting sounding chord right there. E, G, and then B flat D. Now, I'm just going to do a little bit of a tangent here. So if you were to take this note up to here, you have a G minor 7th chord, G, D, F, E flat. Okay, so now G minor 7th, if you go down to here, E minor 7 flat 5 is also a substitute for the C chord. So that's a very, very convenient 2/5. So G minor. Or fingerstyle. F major 7, 6. It's kind of nice little. So G minor, E minor 7, F major 7, 6. Yeah. So like I've been saying, this is kind of unscripted. I just wanted to just start exploring these ideas and then just kind of show you how I think about the fingerboard and how I see connections. And the beauty of these videos is oftentimes as I'm doing this, I discover discover new things also. Okay, so our next one's going to be let's see, E. Then this is F A third 6 interval C E. Nice major 7 chord. Let's see if I can get some harp. That's kind of hard. That's kind of high up there. Yeah. There one time I figured out where all the harmonics were going. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'd have to practice that a little bit more. Okay, so let's look at taking the A minor 7th chord, A, E, G, C, moving the G down to F, and it gives you your first inversion. Okay, so that's going to be F. Now G back to the minor. So this is equivalent to this chord here, that kind of chord that I said was like the Over the Hills and Far Away. Right here. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit about that harmonic implication there. So G, B flat, and D, F is a G minor 7th chord. So the D, F kind of reminds me of D minor pentatonic. So that tells me that if I'm on a G minor 7th chord, I can play D minor pentatonic over that chord. G minor 7. D minor pentatonic. Kind of a nice sound. So that D minor pentatonic gives you the 9. Okay, and I guess I'll just do maybe one or two more here. So A, C, E, G, A minor 7. Okay, and then once again, think about those open strings. That's kind of interesting. Let's see if I go down to the G. So that's going to kind of give it like a G minor 6 sound. Again, that's a little edgy. F would work well. That's kind of nice. Okay, so let's just get. Okay, so how about I'll do this B flat, D, F, A. And I'm just going to write down the chords: B flat, A minor, G, and F. But what I'll do is I'll let that high E string ring through. Kind of an interesting sound. Some of the chords are a little more distant. I'll just do that one more time, and then I guess I'll go to the lowest couple strings. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so obviously these chords would take a little bit of practice, and then you can use the technique I was suggesting before, where you can take a standard form and then expand it out from there. Okay, now the chords on the lowest 4 strings are a little bit harder to finger, so I'll show you like maybe another way of manipulating these chords and to use them better. So here you have the advantage of the open string. So D, F, A, C is either a D minor, or you can think of that as an F6 chord. Now here, if I think Lydian from C major, that's a very interesting sounding chord. I like that. Right. So then, if you wanted to, you can maybe just take that and just experiment and move that up and down the fingerboard. So that's part of playing guitar and having fun, is just experimenting like that. Okay, so that's G. Next would be so D. Now E. So this one's probably the hardest one to finger. So I'm not going to even try to play that. That's a little bit too hard of a stretch. So now let's talk about the idea of reciprocal intervals. So E, G, B flat, D. Okay, is technically an E minor 7 flat 5 chord. But if I took this B flat D, if I inverted that, I put the D on top, that ends up being a third interval. So the idea of reciprocal intervals is a 6th interval. When you invert it, becomes a 3rd interval. A 5th becomes a 4th. It always adds up to 9. So that would be, I think, a much more practical way of doing this. Take this theoretical idea and then just move this D up to here. So E, G, and then you have that's a much more usable form for the E minor 7 or G minor 6. Okay, moving here. This one's a little hard to finger. I can sort of get that one. F, A, C, E. That one would be a lot easier to play once I get up to B flat. So I'll do the same thing here. So I'll take the C, E, reciprocal interval. If you take that E and move it on top, it becomes a 3rd. So E to C, 6th, C to E is a 3rd. So now I have a much more usable chord. F, A, C, E. And that would sound really nice finger style. So F major 7, first inversion. And maybe I'll do the same thing for that first chord. So that F that I did here, D, F, A, C. So that's D minor 7, first inversion, or F6 chord. If I took the C, moved it up to here, then I have a nice version of a F6 chord, or however you want to think of that root. So I'm just going to take those chords. I'm just going to move them down. So the F major 7, E minor 7, E minor 7 flat 5, and then F6. So I was on C, D, E, F. Okay, here's your G, G, B flat, D, F. So that's kind of nice. That one's not too hard to finger. So here's your G, B flat, D, F. So once again, so G, B flat, G minor pentatonic, right? D, F, D minor pentatonic. G, A is the same. Yeah, so to my mind, this would be a good way of kind of creating different kind of textures, in multi-tracking. So let's say you had like, say, a G minor thing going, A minor. So maybe that would be one track. And then maybe put this on top. just a way of expanding your chord vocabulary. So G minor 7, A minor 7, G minor 7 first inversion, A minor 7 for, and so on. Okay, so G, A, here's your B flat. So this was the chord I was having a little hard time fingering up here. Here it's a little bit more doable, but still a kind of a tricky chord to grab. So once again, you can do the reciprocal intervals F to A. If it's a sixth interval, F to A is a third interval, reciprocal interval. So that's kind of a nice sounding chord in that first inversion. Okay, and then I could do the same thing with the G and the, like I did earlier with the D minor. So G, B flat, D, F, take the F, move it up to here, and I have a very usable B flat 6, G minor 7, and then the same thing here, A, C, E, G. G to E is a sixth interval, E to G is a third interval. So you can think of that as G minor 7th or B flat 6th, A minor 7th or C6, okay, and then here. Okay, so maybe I'll just take these chords. All right, that's kind of a standard, 1, 2, 3, 4 going up the scale. So I'll just kind of see what this sounds like. E flat, A minor, G minor. So I'll do that one more time. Okay, now the C, C, E, G, B flat. Kind of an interesting sound. Okay, and then this is the minor 7 that we did open. D, F, A, C. Okay, so now this is, I'm looking at that B and E on top. Okay, that's taking me into the kind of key of C, Dorian. Song key of D minor, D minor. Kind of an interesting sound. Okay, and then E, G, B flat, D. So that was the chord that I had a hard time playing up here. Kind of a nice chord up there. And then I'll do one more F, A, C, E. There's another kind of edgy chord. I have the B and E on top for a Lydian sound. I think I did this up here. Kind of hard to grab. All right, so that was really all the things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to show you those first inversion chords. You could also do some of the same things with these chords, where you can take a more familiar chord and transform it. Let's see, where's a good example of that? So let's see. Yeah, I guess it's not quite as apparent there. All right, well, thanks for listening and watching this video. I think what I'll do here is I'm just going to turn up the delay a little bit, and I'll just do an ending improvisation. Once again, this is totally unscripted. I have nothing planned at all, so this should be interesting to see what happens here. Yeah, this is the dispatch master with everything kind of at 12 o'clock, so we'll see what happens. So thanks again for watching ending improvisation, and we'll see what happens here.